Hey YouTube, I wanted to show you something. It's a relic from my past, how I used to live. I think when I had this, supposedly I still own it, but who knows. When I had this, I found that this was a much easier way to live than how I'm living now. There's a lot to be said for houses and a lot to be said for travel trailers. And I'll show you this. I'll show you what it looks like inside and tell you a little bit about its history and why I think it was a better way to live. I got this years ago. It was a free thing. I didn't have to pay for it. This was actually given to me. This is a 36-foot weekender, and I think it was Skyline. I forget who exactly it was made this. The bags and the windows are where the air conditioner used to be, and this is where an air conditioner used to be before I got it. It was in an asinine place because of the slant. Water was always coming in, so we sealed that off. And I plugged it with some foam, but I used to have it sealed with wood. But she's 36 feet long. Not in good shape now. I don't own it anymore. Back when I had it, I was maintaining it, and it was in way better condition than it is now. But this was a product of my handiwork. This was an automatic switch that would turn lights on and off out in the yard. It would sense daylight. And this whole thing, back when I got it, I rewired it. I took the 12 volt and I rewired it 120 for the lighting, because all the lighting in this thing was 12 volts. And I pulled that window on the back. I see it's got moss growing again. I had all that bleached off of it. Took all the marker lights off because they were leaking like sieves, and sealed them up. But I miss this. Of course, it was in better shape when I had it, but the way we lived in here was a much easier time. This thing is so easy to solar power, it's unreal. I just had 2 golf cart batteries, Trojan T205s I think is what they were, and I had like 300 watts of solar, and it was more than enough. These little buildings, they don't require a lot of power. Everything in them is super efficient, and the stuff that would require a lot of energy is usually run by propane. But lived in here for the better part of, I think it was 2 years we lived in this thing, me and her. And one of the things about it, and this is what makes me sad, the fact that the maintenance has been allowed to slide when this thing takes almost no maintenance to keep up, as long as you keep it sealed and keep it clean. But I'll show you around. This is the old door. The first night we had this, we had a cold front come in. It had strong winds, and it ripped that door clean off. The door was already in bad shape. We'd only been in it a day or two. And we were sitting in there watching a show, and that door went wham! And broke to a million pieces. At the time, all I had was some plywood. I had some heavy plywood, and I had some 2x2s. Actually, those are 2x4s ripped lengthwise. So I took the metal frame off, and I got my table saw out, and I made a new door. And it's probably 10 times more secure than the door that was in there, because it's like almost 3/4 inch plywood. But back when we had this place, this was the living room area here. It's a lot bigger than it looks on camera, actually. It has a lot of space. But this was the living room, the first 8 feet or so. We had a TV against this wall. And over there we had a little brass and glass table and a chair or two around it. And that was our kitchen. And then way back there in the back, if you can see it, that was the bedroom. It has a full standard bed, and we had a dresser and a few other things back there. Air conditioner never worked. The air conditioner never worked. What I did with this, when I had it, all these lights on the ceiling, they were those dome type, almost vehicle lights. Everything was 12 volt lighting wise in this place. And the converter that came with this was a piece of junk. So I ohm tested it and checked all the wiring, and then I pulled all those 12-volt fixtures. This is the original couch, and the upholstery is gone. I replaced it with they're like a folding baseball stadium type seat that fit that couch like a glove. 2 of them. It's like it was made for it. The bathroom was here to the left, or the right, and 2 storage closets here, very large closets. I wish I had power on this, as I need to test all this, but one of the first things I did was I hooked solar to it after I converted, and I put a 120 volt, 12 to 120 volt inverter on that 12 volt wiring after I checked it. And all these lights would run. The power goes out, who cares? We had that, and we were running 24/7 on solar power, keeping these lights on. It didn't run like the fridge. I didn't want to spare the wattage on that, so that was grid connected. And we had an air conditioner back here, and we had an air conditioner up front in there, because the one up on the roof is complete garbage, and finding a replacement motor for it for the blower was a hassle. Even Grainger Supply didn't have it, and they say they have everything. Well, that's bull. But I see the white curtain is down out of here. This has been opened. Those are the little grape things that Allison got, and we had it cute. It was our little house. And it's amazing we didn't kill each other in this, but I think it was a better way to live. We're in a 1,100 square foot house now, roughly. It was a fixer-upper on some land. Let me tell you, it was a real fixer-upper. If you've seen my old videos, you know about it. Let me pause this. It was a real fixer-upper, that other house. This, sadly, is in better shape than that house was and currently is. This had full functioning plumbing. The only thing this didn't have was hot water, because the heater tank was busted on it, and then somebody had pulled it. And everything in this place, you can't see it here, but everything in this place was stripped out. And just that couch was the only piece of furniture that was actually left. The water storage tanks are still in this, in the back. And that's pretty much the only self-contained part of this thing that's left. And the RV pump is back there, but I think it's shot. I don't think it works. I tried powering it, nothing happens, so I'm just gonna chalk that one up to not usable. And that's what I did, and all that stuff is still under there. In fact, there's still tools under that bed in the storage compartment. This has one giant storage compartment that accesses under the bed, and then on the other side it has little storage cabinets under the bed. But I liked living here. This place was easy to take care of, and it was easy to power. And if I had this, I'd probably bring this onto my land and set it somewhere in the back. There's a clearing back there, way in the back, that this would work for, so that when guests came, they'd have a place to stay. It was more functional than the house, actually. It was easy to heat, and it was easy to cool. And we're learning real fast. These larger houses, they're nice until you get into dreadful cold, and then it takes a lot to heat them. And in the summer, it takes a lot to cool them. Not as much as I expected, but it still takes quite a bit. But many memories made in this house, man. We lived in this place. She had a pet rat that she had here. And she had it in its little thing, and there was a stand over by the wall opposite me, what I'm facing. And, that was all right. But we had many a happy memory here. This thing went through Hurricane Ike. This is what I had during Hurricane Ike. And amazingly, this thing withstood it with flying colors. I mean, we had a vent. There's a vent up here, if you can see it. This right here. The wind caught it from behind and made it go voop, like that, and it got water in it, but not very much. I dried it out, and within a day after the hurricane, once all the flooding was under control and I was able to get back on the land, I had the solar panels back up, and we had power on this. And we were the only ones for miles that were running our lights without the aid of generators. We had security lighting and all that. But just because this thing is so efficient, it's so efficient it doesn't use hardly anything. I think to run all the lights in this house took about 60 watts, maybe 60 or 70 watts. They're all high efficiency fluorescent. They're just lamp modules, you know. They're just these things here. Got them at Walmart for next to nothing. You know, I think that was a whole $8 with the light, and just took all those 12-volt lights out and put those in, and then hooked an inverter on where the converter used to be down under the stove, and distributed power. And it worked great. And inverters have built-in safeties, so if anything goes wrong with the wiring, it shuts off and it beeps at you, so you know something's wrong. An inverter won't let a short occur, and an inverter won't let a power overload occur. So that's what we did. We had it up on a concrete slab, and I had a patio table up in front of it on the slab, and a couple of chairs, and we'd have people over, and we'd have cookouts, all kinds of things. It was a great time. I remember that. Things kind of changed when we got the trailer house after that, and we lived in the trailer house a few years, fixing it up gradually, and then the bank decided to pull the rug out from under us on the property and wouldn't let us refinance. Tried to rubber stamp us through a foreclosure, but we managed to sell it. And we barely got out of it with the shirt on our backs, but we had enough to buy more land, and we bought it cash the second time. And I'll tell you, that's the way to go right now. You don't want to trust a bank in today's economy. They're screwing everybody left and right. There's no honor among thieves. And they are thieves. They just don't use a gun. They use a pin. And it's the best way to rob somebody. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you this. It's been a long time since I've lived in it, and I do miss it. I like my new house that I'm in, but I miss the simplicity and ease of living in this place. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just a camper, man. Those aren't fit. Yeah, you know, you get a good, well-made camper, even an old one, and you'd be surprised how good a camper can be. If you don't have 2 pennies to rub together, heating, cooling, and electrical is nothing in one of these. You know, this thing right here, if I went over $100 in a month of electricity use, that would be a surprise. I had a smaller 24-footer I lived in when I was alone, and that thing is only $60 a month to cool it 24/7. So, you know, it just depends on what you want. It depends on what you want. A house in a lot of ways is overkill for 1 or 2 people, you know? It really is. And you got to also look at, you know, what you got to do to clean it, keep it up. You got a kitchen to maintain, all kinds of other crap, stuff to fix, you know, and on a camper, you just keep it clean, keep a little cool seal on the roof, keep the water out, and you're good. It always holds up. And you don't think they're tough? They're made to withstand highway speeds, and that's why it went through Hurricane Ike so well. But anyway, I'll let y'all go. I know I'm reaching the end of my time. It's just something I wanted to share with everybody. A little piece of my past. And I think I was a bit more self-sufficient when I was in this than I am now. Because this, you at least, if things went bad, you could hook it up and move on, you know. But, you get a piece of property in a permanent house, you got taxes and all kinds of other crap to worry about. It's worth the price of owning it, but, you know, there are pros and cons to everything. So anyway, I will let y'all go. You have a good one, YouTube.